Welcome back to War Thunder. Welcome aboard the IS-6. Now, today's video is something that was requested for opinions, because now with the upcoming sales for the anniversary of War Thunder, a lot of people wanted to know, is the IS-6 still as awesome as it was when it came out? Two things have changed. First of all, it's been in the game for quite some time. People had a lot of time to complain about it. Gaijin had a lot of time to rework it. Remember the T-29 incident where there was this magical lower plate spaced armor that just didn't let long 88s ignite the ammunition in the bottom when you even shot through the lower plate. And with the IS-6 we have this magical turret front and the optics on the cupola, and that was one of the points of criticism of mine when I first reviewed this tank. I think the tank review is still valid, but also another thing has changed. If the optics have changed, more on this in a moment. The matchmaker, the patch 1.71 and also following up BR changed the environment completely. Hesh got nerfed into the ground against Russians in particular. Yes, used 30, filthy 60 degrees of angle. I'm talking about you. Then, well, CAS has been significantly reduced thanks to the rework of rockets, and that played in the hands of the Russians. And there is an STB-1 firing an APDS right through the entirety of my tank. He aimed a little bit too low, just killing the driver and setting the engine out of, well, use for a moment, but not setting it on fire. And so here I'm just repairing with a okayish repair speed, and I'm reloading. There is a target too, 105. I blow him up with one shot, easy kill. And well, he shot me as well but didn't penetrate. And I see another friend to play with, a mouse. This is gonna be good. I'm sorry if I say it like this, but again, the IS-6 is fully capable of dealing with a mouse due to the, well, armor, the mobility, and the gun. Many people say the mouse is too strong, it has too thick armor from the front, 220mm of turret front. I always say that armor is very weak. Let me show you this, and this is a disgusting scene. Don't hate me for it, hate the designers of the IS-6 for it. Hello, I'm here, sayonara. Right through the turret front, killing the entirety of this tank with one shot. Yeah, this is IS-6 memes at their funniest, more or less. And now I'm spawn pushing it's called nowadays. I'm very aggressive, I'm reckless, I don't give anything about fairness in battle when I'm playing with my Russians. And yeah, I aim very poorly here, I have to admit that, but it doesn't really matter. And I got a little bit bored with it. I wanted to join the action in the middle of the map, and what follows now is, again, a little bit disgusting. So, the Hesh nerf, the CAS nerf, and the IS-6 has not been really touched except for a BR increase that is more than meaningless. 7.0, 7.3, you always get in 7.7 matches. In like, at the moment, at least in like 90-95% of the cases, I've just seen a handful of 8.0 battles. That's the funny thing, the rear of the mouse turret is actually stronger, yet it was here also a slightly bit angled, than the front of the mouse. Just saying. And there are two mice and a Kugelblitz. I can sneak up on them from behind. They have no chance. Even if they would have seen me coming, they would have had no chance. And there it actually is a little bit in their favor. I shot way too much in the rear, should have aimed a meter in front, or more to the front. And then I probably would have killed this mouse in one shot. And for a moment I was thinking, like, how bad is this turret front? The turret rotation speed on the mouse rather. Yeah, should I go for the second mouse? Should I go for the Kugelblitz? That again was a very weird penetration. But yet it crippled the Kugelblitz. I will get a kill assist soon afterwards. I was really tempted to go for the simple side of the second mouse, but I don't want to risk it, you know. Play it safe, kill one mouse after the other. Yeah, his face says it all. He's really sick and tired of IS-6 as well. This tank is still way too strong. It still has the mobility of a medium tank. It has the fastest 122mm reloading gun on a heavy tank. It's more or less like a T-44 122 with, well, much better reload, more or less the same mobility, and, well, more protection. I don't need the post-war shell, the BR-471D. I can deal enough damage with the B version and can, you know, deal with all the tanks. I have the caliber, I have the necessary penetration, and the major benefit of the IS-6 is, say it with me, it doesn't face other Russian vehicles. That is the main advantage of the Russians. If Russians would face each other, for example, as you can experience it in arcade, they would struggle against each other. Then it really depends who has the jump on each other. But the IS-6 is way too forgiving, it's too mobile, you can recklessly push the objective, you can rush the objective, lay an ambush, and do all the good stuff. There is no tank in the heavy tank department that is better and its battle rating that this tank would face. There is, I guess, the Conqueror. However, the Conqueror, how to say it? The strength of the Conqueror is hull down, long range, APDS, or for a change, Hesh. And yeah, that was my 6th kill, and now watch this shot. Wait for it. There it is. That was 1 in a million shots from a Yak Tiger. And this shot actually made me think, have they reworked the IS-6? Have they reworked it? And I talked to Many Miles Away. We went into a custom battle and we tested really a long time. We tested for 1.5 hours, I guess, with the long 88, 122, and so 128 and so on. And it's very hilarious when you think about it. The cupolas are now much more vulnerable for penetration, even when you hit the center part. But then the splash pattern for the APHE, for the long 88 for example, is still kind of massively reduced if you hit the middle, so you take just 2 crew members out. That gives the IS-6 the chance to retreat, repair, and go after you after that, and then get a crew member back in a capture zone, for example, and then being again fully operational. With the 128 is the same, but the second you hit a little bit to the side of the cupola, but not where it ricochets, it's again a very chancy shot. You will one-shot kill this tank with every APHE shell that you fire at it, when it is, of course, able to penetrate. The turret front, again, it has not been reworked. The turret front, not. So that was a very, very, very lucky shot through a concrete wall without direct vision, hitting me more or less nearly on the move, I guess, and actually hitting one of the gaps in the armor. 1 in a million shot. Yet I wanted to show you there is theoretically hope. In theory, there is hope. Okay, that's the thing that I want to point out. And here I get a little bit greedy and I kill the Skugelbits with 1 shot. Better aim this time, eye for an eye. And I thought, well, I should really hide now. 7 kills, that's a good battle. And I get Heat the Vest in the back of the turret, taking one of the crew members out, the commander it seems, and also damaging the gun breech. And this Type 61 is now coming after me, and I thought to myself, well, let's play just Ring Around the Rosies around this concrete barrels. But he got, well, shot in the side. And yeah, that's Russian teamwork. Whenever you need a Russian tank to shoot your attacker in the side, there is a Russian tank. So that's enough time for me to repair and to look after new targets. I wanted to look after this Type 61, but he was already taken out. Smoke didn't save him there. So let's sum it up. The IS-6 is still very, very mobile for a heavy tank. It has still a good reload for a 122mm gun. It's simple, it's forgiving, it has opponents that you can easily defeat, and you can go for the objective, capture it, lay an ambush, and repeat that multiple times. You can really, put pressure on the enemy to bait the shots, to really get them into hopeless situations. Then again, CAS was nerfed, Hash was nerfed. Everything in favor of the IS-6. It doesn't face too many tanks with stabilizers right now. And again, it separates tanks into two categories. Tanks that have a chance against it, and tanks that heavily suffer at the hands of it when they're stock. And this is something really disgusting, because this is a premium vehicle. And now I'm farming just Kugelblitzes, I guess. Late game, they're all in their AAAs because their heavy tanks got destroyed. They have no spawn points to get even into a medium tank. Germany has no light tank, except the RE251, which is, say it with me, a premium tank. The problems have not been solved. They have not been addressed. And I'm sorry about this, but this is my game experience. This is my experience when I play the game for both sides. And it really doesn't matter if you are going against 7.7s, if you can easily defeat them and they have trouble dealing with you. They have a chance, but it's very slim. And as you could see with all the engagements with those Maus, you face Germany in the first place in the majority of cases. I do not really see that many British tanks anymore. They're all getting sucked up into 9.0 battles. So, do I recommend the IS-6 for purchase? I guess so. I don't like to do it because now more people will drive around in this tank in the future, but this is how it is. It's just too easy to play with this tank. They have not ruined it. And believe me that, I was really tempted to make a clickbait title like some other YouTubers with like, they ruined this tank, Gaijin has screwed it up. Players have been robbed of their advantages. Titles like that, or they have robbed of their tank's capability of dealing with the enemy. The IS-6 practically is nerf resistant. You cannot really address the armor strength up until the point you would completely rework the penetration mechanisms for angled armor. Like the IS-6 is a tank that you can deal more or less with normal guns in World of Tanks. I've played a lot of World of Tanks in the past, so I can kind of talk about it. In War Thunder, with regular shell types such as low penetrating APDS or hell, even the 105mm Hash or any kind of APHE against the chassis of this tank, forget about it. It's too bouncy, even from the side. When you angle this tank, you rock forwards and backwards, you can bait out the shots for enemy tanks. Again, this is a rush tank. This is a Russian rush tank for the objective. The enemy has to go hull down if they want to have any chance. Then you still can snap the cupolas because you have the APHE damage. It's still way too strong in my hands. And yes, a Leopard can easily kill it with Heat FS, but you remember how long the stock grind on a Leopard takes? For example, also the Jagdpanzer 5. And yes, there are two premium tanks for the Germans that can defeat it, the RE251 and the M47. But still, both for them, I do not really have to aim to kill them, and they have to have that shell loaded, not the APHE shell, or for the RE251 the Hash shell, or the high explosive for, whatever reason. And those, again, are premium tanks that you have to buy to counter another nation's premium tanks. It's just too strong still. I do not really struggle in this tank. I'm sorry if you give this video a dislike because I say it like it is, but if you're insulted by this, you are insulted by the, well, reality on the War Thunder battlefields. Just too many things play into favor of the IS-6. You can play it with a reckless playstyle, with a very hyper-aggressive playstyle, and you get away with it. And as I have just showed you in the beginning, it can absorb shots, it can one-shot enemies all the time, more or less reliable, even a mouse from the front. Not at long distance, don't get carried away by that, but everything below 500 meters has a good chance of going through. And I've talked about this in my mouse tank review, in the IS-6 tank review. I've talked about this in multiple Duck Talks episodes and so on. And a lot of people just say, no, that's not true. What are you talking about? Yada, yada, yada. I basically got here a double ace or 2 aces for each time I used one of this an IS-6. Yes, I got deleted once, but let's just have a look at the results. So nearly 90,000 silver lines income and nearly 10,000 research points without any booster, just with the premium tank bonus and the premium account bonus. And look at all those rewards. The question now is, how much profit do you really make? Not income, also so not just the income of the battle, but the pure profit. Look at this, 83,000. So I just had around about 6,000 silver lines cost. And because I used a backup vehicle, my repair costs are just 211 silver lines. And the ammunition, you know, it's dirty cheap. So that's my opinion on the IS-6. It has not really lost its value. And I don't think that this matchmaker will get changed too soon, because it's the best that you can get out of when driving the mouse or other tanks that have been recently profited from this matchmaker change. But every 8.0 tank is screwed because it gets sucked up into 9.0 tanks, which get currently spammed out. And the IS-6 has 7.3, which is practically a 7.7 matchmaker, and you are then very close to being top tier. You can easily deal with all the tanks that you face, because how the tanks that can potentially kill you have to go through a stock grind are other premium tanks, or well, just get robbed of their hull down potential when they have to go for a capture point. You are just so much faster in the IS-6 than other nations' heavy tanks. You're just so much more flexible. You can keep up with your medium tanks and tank destroyers. For example, the Object 120. You just can waffle stomp the enemy, and it's just hilarious how good this tank still is. Has it been really touched by Gaijin or hammered with a nerf hammer? No, not in my opinion, not in my experience, not with my playstyle. It can get taken out, but you know, every tank can get taken out in this respect. It's just so much harder to come an IS-6 by with a normal tank. I hope you agree with me. Let me know in the comment section if you agree, if you disagree. What are your experiences? Do you mind an IS-6? Isn't it a problem? Keep in mind the hash nerf, the CAS nerf, and all the other changes that more or less benefit the IS-6. So that's it for me today, finally. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video, and give it a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the battlefields of War Thunder.